Hey guys, good morning Tokyo, and good afternoon and good evening, wherever you are. So, welcome back to Chain of Thought, and sorry about the inconvenience. I tried to start the space with the previous link, but the something was wrong. The link was broken or something, and I couldn't start it. So here's the new link. Okay, so um, thank you for being present here. I really appreciate it. Um, even with the two of you. And Siesta, I think I mean, you are always here. Um, I really appreciate it for your presence, like continuous support. And thank you, Lon, too. Thank you for coming, tuning in. So, uh, let's get back to the chain of thought. Today's topic. It's uh, it's a provenance. So why the source matters more than ever. And yesterday, I don't know if you saw my post, but so yesterday a major crypto news outlet, or not just that specific media, but many crypto news outlets dropped the headlines that was everywhere within hours, or even within minutes. It was catchy, it was shareable, and it seemed to tell you the whole story in a one single line. But when when I went to the source material, I realized the framing had shifted, not in a malicious way, but in a way that changed the nuance, the fact. And yet, like tens of thousands of impressions and hundreds of people were sharing that headline without ever reading beyond it. There was no link to the article. They just shared the headline, like breaking, you know. And I'm not here to single out any like one media company. This is not about one post. It's about the much bigger issue, right? So in the digital age, when most of what we see has already been filtered, framed, and reinterpreted, how can we really know what's true? In the art world, provenance is the documented history of a piece of art, like who made it, who owned it, where it's been. And in the digital world, the concept is exactly the same, like knowing where something came from, how it's being changed, and who had their hands on it along the way. So without provenance, headlines outrun facts. AI generates content with no transparency on source. Data gets altered and redistributed with no way to verify their authenticity. And here's the problem. So most of our digital systems were not built with provenance in mind. Okay. So blockchain already gives us a head start, right? When it comes to the provenance and the Web3 advantage, right? So blockchain already gives us a head start. We can prove when something was created. We can prove which wallet created it, and we can prove if it's being altered, right? So these are the kind of a Web3 advantages. But here's the catch. So most decentralized storage solutions today handle static data really well. That is files that never change, right? So the challenge is dynamic data, information that's constantly updated, overwritten, or added to. What I mean by dynamic data here is information like a real-time AI training datasets or IoT sensor readings, financial transaction streams, live mapping services, stuff like that. So these types of information are constantly updated, overwritten, or added to like um, like new pieces of information added to the data sets, right? So it's a dynamic. It's a being changed over time, you know, minute by minute, like sometimes like second by second. So if we cannot track the evolving lineage of that data, then we cannot provide full provenance, and an AI especially can't be fully trusted, right? So let's take AI agents as an example here. Okay. Unlike a generative AI model, something like a Mid-Journey or stuff like that, they're super, cool tool. But unlike the generative AI model that spits out an image or text just once, you know, agents act continuously. That's the big difference between generative AI and AI agents. So AI agents act continuously, making decisions based on live inputs. So if you cannot verify where those inputs came from or how they were altered, you get what I call the reality gap here, where the output looks confident, but it's built on unverifiable ground. And right now, most of those AI agents are leaning on centralized providers like AWS or Google Cloud or Azure for their live data, right? And that works for speed and availability, but it's the opposite of verifiable provenance. And this is exactly why Xenea's decentralized storage layer is designed for dynamic data, not just to cold storage of static files. Our architecture aims to make it possible to store, update, and verify data continuously while still giving you an immutable trail of every change. So that means AI models could record their inputs in a verifiable ledger. That means news reports could link back to original evidence without risk of tampering. And then that means developers could create trust-first applications where users can inspect the full data journey. Sounds cool, right? And now, to be clear, and we haven't picked a specific partner for a Provenance dedicated initiative yet, but I want to, and there are already brilliant teams out there whose sole mission is to solve Provenance, I think. And if we can connect our dynamic data layer to their verification tools, then we could close like one of the biggest gaps in today's Web3 plus AI stack, I think. Right? And this brings me to something we have already done. Yeah, something we have already done, which is our partnership with the Partisia blockchain. Yeah, we just released an announcement today yesterday. Was it yesterday, right? And they released it too, right? Yeah, just today, just yesterday. So we announced the partnership with the Partisia blockchain, right? And Partisia blockchain, they specialize in multi-party computation, MPC, a privacy-preserving technology that allows like multiple parties to compute on encrypted data without exposing the raw information. So without decrypting the information. And why is this relevant? Because provenance is not just about traceability, it's also about trust, right? So if we can prove where the data came from and allow AI or applications to process it securely without revealing private or sensitive information, we create something incredible, powerful, something transparent enough to trust, something private enough to protect users and organizations, and something decentralized enough to resist single points of failure. Right. So in short, like provenance plus dynamic data, Xenea, plus MPC, Partisia blockchain, could become the backbone of a trustworthy AI ecosystem. Sounds super exciting, right? So here's my question to everyone here. So are we going to wait until provenance becomes a crisis level issue? Or are we going to design it into the next generation of apps, models, and platforms from the start? For builders, if any of you are builders, developers here, so this is the moment to think about how your dApps, AI tools, or marketplaces can show their work in a way users can verify. And for the community, keep asking, where did this come from? Yeah, where did this come from? And don't settle for like vague answers. You know. So that's pretty much it. You know, I just so I talked about provenance today. Why it's critical in the AI and Web3 era, DeepIn era, and how Xenea's infrastructure and partnerships can help make it a reality. And in the beginning part, and most of you were not in the beginning part because it was like such short notice, and um, there was a kind of a tech issue. I don't know if it's called a tech issue, but the previous link to the space was somehow wrong or broken, and I couldn't start it from the original link on a post, and I started like a brand new one. And how many? So I want to ask you guys one thing. Um, how many? Let me go. Let me check my post. So yeah, yeah. All right. So how many of you like read the post by some crypto media, not just one, but many, I think. And they posted something like breaking, like official yesterday. Yeah, breaking news or like official, and they say like President Trump has just signed executive order ban banning banking discrimination based on crypto use, religion, or political beliefs or stuff like that. They not just one media, but many of the media outlets posted something like that. And I read a lot of like readers, like followers on those media outlets, like said, um, like that's the good news. Yeah, in short. But I went to the source material, like a more detailed um article. Then that was not really true. So President Trump has not banned, has not technically has not banned banking discrimination. What he did was just to instruct regulators to investigate, like whether banks are like um whether whether or not like banks are debanking people based on like political religious views or crypto activity. So that the headline is not really correct. You know, it's not really true. It's close. It's close, and probably this executive order will ban that kind of discrimination in the future, but not at the moment. So that's what I'm talking about the provenance today. And so it was not just one post, it was not just one media outlet. It's a bigger um it's a bigger issue. It's a much bigger issue. Like I mentioned in the first part of this space, uh, that's really a bigger issue and not just like one single post or one single headline, you know, because it's a it's now like the whole digital kind of a media ecosystem is is kind of a broken, I think. You know, it's more for the engagement, you know. So it really doesn't matter. It matters, but in terms of like in terms of revenue or attention, I think, like if it's true or not, whether it's true or not, it's not really valuable anymore in this digital era, right? It's kind of sad. Yeah. It's not, and it is, I think it's not just in journalism, but in everything we build in Web3. You know, if we cannot verify where information came from, how it was formed, or whether it's been altered along the way, we're operating in a fog, you know, literally in a fog. So So that's the thing. Provenance is something I want to kind of pursue. Like I'm a little bit tired of those uh, misleading articles or misleading headlines, and people just take them seriously. They just trust it without verifying the authenticity of the information. And I think it's more relevant as um as the rise of AI, all these AI movement. Because after ChatGPT became a part of our daily lives, like many people use ChatGPTs or um, something similar in their daily lives to decide, to make decisions or to get information or to learn something. And in many cases, I see people just take the information, like a trusted information the AI gives you, uh, without a doubt. That this is really a big issue, I think, because I know someone like if you like directly, and sometimes like sometimes the information he gives you sounds very solid and sounds very trustworthy, but when I look into that information, the dig deeper, it's not really true. But if I try like a chat GPT or stuff like that to get that kind of information, and it gives you the same answer as what he gave me. So probably he just did the research or the quick research on chat with the chat GPT, and the chat GPT told him in a very trustworthy manner, probably. But there was no like source of origin or any sort of like a verifiable um, thing about the information. And there's so much we can do at Xenea. Yeah, like I mentioned in this space, there's so much we can do. As long as we support dynamic data for the decentralized storage, then that's really a big deal, especially for the provenance. Of course, it's applicable, it's relevant to many more areas in the AI and DeepIn era. But when it comes to provenance, the combination of our dynamic data, dynamic decentralized storage, and Partisia blockchain's MPC technology, that's a massive impact for sure. What are the advantages of this AMA? It's not really an AMA. But thank you for the comment, Dozy. Did I pronounce your name correctly? It's not really an AMA. I'm just talking to myself. Or we're talking to you guys, yeah. I'm just sharing my thoughts. about the recent news, or like about the technologies we have, or about our partnerships, or about like Web3 or decentralization or deep in AI in general. I'm just sharing my thoughts. It's more, it's a pretty much casual, um, kind of a one-way conversation. So there's no advantage of this space to to be honest. If you find something, if you find something insightful, or uh yeah, then I really appreciate it. And but sometimes I will get I will I will give you guys some piece of kind of insider information from Xenia. So if you don't know about me, um, I'm Yuma, co-founder and chief strategy officer, as well as like chief diplomat of Xenia. So I know pretty much everything about what we are doing, or who we are talking to, or what kind of discussions we're having as we speak. So sometimes, in and in the previous episode, I think I shared it with you guys, like about the whitelist legislation, and that information was nowhere outside my series of space. So sometimes I tell you something valuable, I think. Sometimes I can give you some sort of advantage over others who are not listening to the space. But most of the time, it's just me sharing my thoughts. Um, yeah, that's what's happening. Okay, so um, once again, to wrap up, today we're talking about provenance, and it's at Xenia, it's not really provenance is not really a feature request. It's a part of the bigger mission to create a future-proof data infrastructure where the community plays an active role in securing the network. And yes, and our node cell is coming soon. I keep telling you guys about this every single day, but it's coming very, very soon. And it's your chance to directly support this kind of infrastructure and earn rewards for it. And more precisely saying, on rewards with with the top two yielding the highest two highest yielding node types. And we expect whitelist registration to open very, very soon. So stay tuned. And probably when the details are fixed, like everything's fixed, everything's settled, probably I will tell you guys first in future space here. All right, and that might be an advantage. But anyway, provenance is not optional for the future of AI, media, or even everyday digital life. It's the foundation. So the sooner we make it a default, the stronger Web3 will be when it truly goes mainstream. So this has been Chain of Thought, episode 18, where we connect ideas one block at a time. So thank you again for tuning in, and some of you, for especially some of you, thank you for tuning in every day. I truly know who you are already. I remember exactly your name and your icons, everything. I literally remember you guys. Okay, so I really appreciate it for your presence here every day, and I will talk to you tomorrow again. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good one.